Afternoon, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. We are meeting on Monday, April 15th, and could we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Scarpetian is absent. Khan?
Here.
Sharkey?
Here.
President Patrick?
Here.
The agenda for the April 15, 2013 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on Tuesday, April 9, 2013. Item 2 is upcoming council agenda items.
Hello.
Good afternoon, President Patrick, members of the Commission. My name is Teresa Alexania. I'm Executive Analyst with Community Services and Parks. Just wanted to give you a brief update on upcoming council agenda items. On April 23rd, we have a report regarding alcohol beverage service at designated city facilities. It's an ordinance for introduction regarding drinking in public parks and on public property. Permits General Code Section 9.20.145 of the Municipal Code to clarify the language which authorizes the city manager to issue a permit to allow consuming, selling, serving of alcohol on city property. Motion to note and file a report and a resolution approving an alcohol permit fee of $100 and a security guard fee of $25 an hour for community services and Parks and the Library, Arts and Culture Department as it relates to alcohol beverage service at designated city facilities. We also have a report on April 30th on the Joint Council Housing Authority, which is regarding the fiscal year 13-14 proposed annual action plan for Community Development Block Grant, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Home Investment Partnership Acts programs. On May 7th, on the regular council agenda, we have a report regarding the landscape maintenance contract, which is a resolution adopting specs for contracting the landscape maintenance of general government facilities and authorizing the city clerk to advertise for bids. On May 21st, on the regular council agenda we have a report regarding Pacific Community Center campus wayfinding sign programs, approving specs and advertising for bids, and also awarding of a contract for the Catalina Verdugo Adobe restroom project.
Okay.
For now.
Thank you very much. What is next?
Next is item 3, introductions and presentations at A, annual volunteer recognition.
Okay, and you're going to take care of that, right?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, President Patrick, members of the Commission. As you know, my name is Iris Hidalgo, and I'm an administrative assistant and volunteer coordinator for the Community Services and Parks Department. National Volunteer Week is being recognized or is being celebrated next week, April 21st through 27th, with a theme of celebrating people in action. Every April, our department takes the opportunity to also thank and recognize our many dedicated volunteers who serve the community of Glendale. Between the recording period of March 1st, 2012 and February 28, 2013, Community Services and Parks volunteer dedicated 13,148 hours of service, which is almost 2,628 more hours than recorded last reporting period, and nearly 6,000 more hours than recorded the recording period before that. For the second year in a row, the Senior Meals and Trails and Open Space program saw a considerable increase in volunteer activity. This is a testament to the passion of Glendale residents for their community and their willingness to get involved. The volunteer with the highest number of hours this recording period served 2,194 hours in our Senior Meals program was Mr. Nick Gonzalez, who is being recognized today as well. Today we are giving special recognition to the top volunteers in our various programs. We are joined by staff from our various programs who will be introducing them to you shortly. I'd like to begin by calling Maggie Kavarian. She's a community services supervisor with our Senior Meals program and Spar Heights Day Camp.
Good afternoon, President Patrick, members of the Commission. I'm Maggie Kavarian. I want to introduce Nick Gonzalez first and foremost. He is our top volunteer with over 2,194 hours of service. He volunteers at the Senior Meals program 7 days a week. Nick Gonzalez.
Oh.
The seniors absolutely love him. He helps to clean, prep, and set up the tables and serve meals for the seniors, and we just would not be able to function without him. So we really do appreciate Nick Gonzalez.
And President Patrick, if you would like to have one of the commissioners or yourself come up and present the certificates, that'd be great.
Dottie, would you like to present the first group?
Sure.
We'll take turns because this is so much fun that none of us want to not do some of it, so.
Next, I'd like to recognize Margaret Aruski. Margie has been volunteering with us for many years. She has 1,118 hours of service. She helps in our senior lunch program, and she helps us with filing and paperwork on the off hours that we do our senior program, because it requires a lot of paperwork. So Margie. Our next volunteer is 94 years young. Rosemary Roverino has been volunteering with us at the City of Glendale for over 21 years. She works at Spar Heights Community Center. She has 433 hours of service, and again, she works in our senior meals program. Rosemary? And every year, Rosemary crochets and donates throws and blankets for our raffles as well.
Fabulous.
Our youngest volunteer, Narine Alexani, has volunteered with us for 132 hours at our Spar day camp, summer, winter, and spring. So she gives up her vacations to come and help us out. So Narine? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to make Commissioner Sharkey come back here and let Commissioner Khan present the next awards, and who is going to tell us about them.
Next, I'd like to call Julianne Leviant. She's a community services supervisor with our senior programs.
Should I have let him speak?
Good afternoon, President Patrick and Commissioners. I would like to introduce volunteers from the Adult Recreation Center. We have 4 volunteers today, and I would like to introduce Anahit Margarian. Anahit works up at the front desk with our staff. She sells bus passes, she answers phones, she does even table setups too when we need her. So I would like to go ahead and introduce Anahit. And next we have Anita Preisler. Anita Preisler works for our bingo. She does bingo on Mondays and Fridays, and she also does the senior meals program. And next, Yarvan Zarabian. He works in the gym, the exercise room, fitness center. He's there at 7:30 every morning waiting for the doors to open at 8. He helps organize all of the participants that come in the morning, and when we need extra help, he's always there to translate and help us out. The next is Radavus Bashki. I know I messed that one up, sorry. He helps in our billiards room, so he's there to take sign-ins, to help with any small altercations that might happen, and also assign tables to any of the participants that come in. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call Seva Garbedian. He's acting community services supervisor with our sports programs.
You can tell we didn't really rehearse our part of this.
Good afternoon, President Patrick, members of the Commission. My name is Seva Garabedian, Acting Community Services Supervisor for the Sports Section. I'd like to introduce to you our Sports Section volunteer, Mr. Dick Jover. Mr. Jover has been volunteering for us for over 5 years. He is primarily responsible for the Master Soccer program. Master Soccer has grown from once a week to 4 times a week. Over 145 people have participated in this drop-in program since January 1st of this year. Mr. Jover is responsible for introducing the program to new participants. He signs in each participant and assigns them to a team. Mr. Jover volunteered 315 hours this past year. Thank you.
Thank you. And I get to do the next two.
And next, I'd like to call Mark Sturdivant, Senior Administrative Analyst with our Trails and Open Space Program.
Thank you, President Patrick and members of the Commission. I have two volunteers from the Trails and Open Space Program that I'd like to introduce you to. The first is Karen Bueller. I first met Karen about 2 years ago when she came out to Deukmejian Park as part of a Sierra Club group that wanted to do volunteer trail maintenance. And at that time, we only had about 3 core members of our trail maintenance crew. But Karen came out, she went to work. Apparently she loves being out on the trails because not long after she contacted me and said she wanted to become part of our core trail team. So I invited her to become a city volunteer. She readily accepted. She went out and joined the group and very quickly took on a leadership role. She organized the group. She's got them working more hours than they've ever worked before. She's tripled, I think, or quadrupled the number of core trail volunteers that we have. And while that may not sound like a lot, going from 3 to 10 or 11, if you've gotten 10 people out on the trail doing trail work, you can accomplish a lot more than you can with 3. Under her leadership, the Rim of the Valley Trail has been completely restored after the station fire. It was pretty much destroyed by the fire and the rains that followed. It's open. It is safer than it has ever been before. And also under her leadership, the Crescenta View Trail, which goes out on the eastern side of the park, is also nearly complete and is safer than it has been in years. In addition, she keeps track of all the trail crew's volunteer hours and sends them to me with a report on a weekly basis, which is why the Trails and Open Space Program's hours have shot up this year. And she's just a fantastic person to have as part of our core team. I actually promised Karen she could say a few words, so I hope you'll indulge me, and then President Patrick, you could give her her award.
They didn't leave much for me to say, but I did want to thank the support of the city as well, because we use tools that are provided for us. Mark has been great, and yes, I am big on recruiting, and we've recruited a lot more volunteers, and now we have a great core group that will continue to maintain the trails with a lot less effort. We put in an enormous amount of physical labor up there, and I just want to let you know that there's a lot more people than me that are getting it done, and I hope that they'll all continue, and thank you again.
Thank you. Second, I'd like to introduce you to Bob Thompson. Everyone who knows Bob actually knows him as Bobcat. Bobcat, along with Jerry Burnham, another volunteer who you actually recognized last year, is one of the key members of our tree watering team up at Deukmejian. You'll recall that after the station fire, we planted over 100 big cone spruces, oaks, and sycamores in the park. And while we water them once a month as part of our regular third Saturday wilderness work days, that isn't nearly enough to give them the amount of water they need to take root and grow. So Bobcat and Jerry go out every week armed with nothing but gallons and gallons of water in plastic bottles. They go up to where we've planted the trees. They water those trees, make sure they get a good drink so that they can take root and grow strong. Bob Bobcat's now retired, but he was the former postmaster of the Montrose Post Office. In addition, he's a longtime member of the Sierra Club and a Sierra Club hike leader. And if that's not enough, he was one of the first people to volunteer for the hike unit of our new Trail Safety Patrol, and he's one of our most frequent patrol volunteers. I should hasten to add that the Trails and Open Space program is largely funded by the Glendale Parks and Open Space Foundation. So those tools that Karen is referring to, those were purchased by the foundation. The Trail Safety Patrol, also paid for by the foundation. So I want to give the foundation the recognition it deserves for helping fund the Trails and Open Space program. To conclude, I just wanted to say we have an expression in the Trails and Open Space business, and that is when someone goes above and beyond the call of duty, we refer to them as a force of nature. Karen and Bobcat are definitely forces of nature, and it is a privilege for me to have them as part of my volunteer team. Thank you.
And last but not least, I'd like to call up Yvette Samvalian. She's the Homeless Program Supervisor with Homeless Programs.
Good afternoon, President Patrick, members of the Parks Commission. Today I'd like to introduce you to Nare Alexani, who's been volunteering for us for the Community Services, Human Services Homeless Unit since November. Nara has been responsible assisting with the homeless count, which is part of the presentation today. She's been working with the volunteers, coordinating, assisting with the surveys and the needs assessment process during the homeless count. She's also assisting the Human Services team with review of the invoices and the reimbursement to the nonprofit agencies so that we can reimburse them quickly. To assist with cash flow, and Nara has been supporting with the CDBG unit with various project administration. I'd like to thank Nara for her time and the commitment to Community Services and Parks Department. Nara?
So thank you, President Patrick, members of the Commission, for handing out the certificates. And I'd also like to thank all of the staff that trains and supervises the volunteers. But thank you to everybody. There's many more that aren't here, but we definitely are grateful for each and every one of them. Do you have any questions for me?
Any comments?
Well, it's just amazing. We couldn't do it without it. You know, out in any staff and volunteers. I just have to add that I've been up to Duke-Magian several times. It's amazing what's done up there. I saw the park after the fire. It was a moonscape. And now you go up there and you see happy kids and happy adults, and the kids love watering and planting, and you've done a remarkable job. I don't mean to say that everyone else hasn't either, but since I've been right up there. So thank you for your work.
Just say thank you very much for all your hard work, and if you continue, I like the one lady who said that she encourages others to participate. That's always nice and very helpful, but thank you all for being here and for doing what you do.
Yes, and I want to add my thanks. I just can't believe it when I look at this more than 13,000 hours of volunteer work. We just wouldn't be able to accomplish what we accomplish without those of you that are volunteering, so I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And maybe all of you that got recognized, if you could just stand so we can give you one more round of applause before you leave.
Okay.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for being here today so that we could recognize you. It was really a fun thing for us when we get to recognize the volunteers, so thanks so much for being here.
President Patrick, if I may, in Jess Duran's absence, if I could take a moment.
Absolutely.
I'm sure he would, had he been here today, he would have wanted to personally congratulate every one of you. You know, as our staff resources and funding resources are disappearing, the need for community volunteers and community investment is even far greater than before. So on his behalf, Mr. Jess Duran's behalf, the Director of Community Services and
Parks. Thank you. That's what we do. I'd like to thank you for your dedicated service. 13,000 hours is just unfathomable for us. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you again. And what is next?
Next, we have item 4, commission staff comments.
Do we have any comments?
The only thing I had was, I brought up last time at the hearing, if you can just briefly address that one item, that was the only thing I had as a comment to the Montrose Park and the parks and things like that.
Sure. President Patrick, members of commission, we actually have that as part of our presentation later in the Park Services section. If you wouldn't mind, I'll be happy to present you at that time.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Okay, get your pencils out.
I'm sure Commissioner Sharkey has lots to say.
GlendaleDodgerNight.com. May 10th, last year was our first Glendale Dodger Night. We had 494 people. Dodgers were amazed that we did so well. This year, we've got even a VIP party, or you don't have to go to that, just go to the game. I think if it's 30 more people, you get something like little fringe benefits or something, maybe your name up there on the scoreboard. So, but it's a great night. Learn more about it again. I'll give you the website. It's GlendaleDodgerNight.com. Okay, thanks, and we'll see you there.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to get to talk about Run the Verdugos, because that is also coming up. It is sponsored by the Glendale Parks and Open Space Foundation. It's on May 5th. You can find that on runtheverdugos.com. It's a wonderful run and hike. Well, I don't want to discourage you, but straight up the mountain in back of Brand.
You can walk.
You can walk, you can hike, and there's this year we're having a free breakfast for everyone that participates, and it's just been a lovely day. This is our third one, and we have more people participating this year than last year, so take a look at runtheverdugos.com, and we hope to see you on May 5th in Brand Park.
I might add, all the proceeds help the Glendale Parks and Open Space Foundation, so it's a win-win-win all the way around.
Certainly is. Okay, any staff comments? All right, then in that case, we will move on to the next item.
Item 5 is oral communications. I don't have any cards.
Okay.
Item 6, consent items. At A, approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on March 18, 2013.
Okay, I need a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, and
Second it.
second?
Second.
All right.
Okay. Commissioner Scarpetian is absent. Khan,
Yes.
Sharkey,
Yes.
President Patrick.
Yes.
Item 7, business agenda. At A, action items. At 1, resolution increasing the car registration fees for cruise night.
Okay, good afternoon, President Patrick, members of the Commission. My name is Onik Bolanikian. I'm the Community Services Manager, overseeing the Recreation and Community Services section of our department. One of my duties for this year will be organizing the 2013 Cruise Night, which will be held July 20th. Saturday, July 20th, celebrating our 20th anniversary. We do have a cruise night committee. The cruise night committee is basically overseen by me. We have a couple employees from our Parks Department, myself, Monique, and Patty from the Parks Department. We have representatives from the City Manager's Office, Public Works, Water and Power, Fire Department, and also Public Works. I mentioned Public Works. Since July 2010, the Cruise Night event has been funded through the Redevelopment Agency, and the net cost has been $95,000, which included National Act entertainment, marketing, promotion, stage, lighting equipment, and other supplies. In view of the elimination of the redevelopment funds, Cruise Night can no longer be funded. So we rely on sponsorship, donations, and car entry fees. In 2012, staff evaluated the event budget and developed a scaled-down event of Cruise Night, which costs $52,673. It involved cutting out big name entertainment, using our own stage that we have, cutting down the area from 5 blocks to 4 blocks, and basically downsizing the event, but still providing, trying to provide the same level of service. Last year's cruise night attracted 35,000 participants, close to 353 vehicles registered, and I was there, for a couple hours, and didn't seem like the event was scaled down. Everyone was having a really good time. We also developed a multi-level sponsorship program to offset the cost of cruise night for this year. We sent out 200 sponsorship packages out to local businesses and corporations in the Glendale area. And so far we have secured a few sponsorships. Naming sponsor being Brand Boulevard of Cars. I'd like to thank them for their $10,000 sponsorship to be a naming sponsor. Glendale Police Officers Association, Jewel City Bowl, they've sponsored $1,500 each, and a silver sponsor from Harley Davidson of Glendale as a $1,000 sponsor. This year's cruise night entertainment will be the Surfaris, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Wipeout. It is a national act. Mr. Rock and Roll, our event planner, has negotiated a cheaper deal with this group to come in and celebrate the 20th anniversary of cruise night, and also the tokens will be participating. And we're also going to bring back the trophies, the awards and trophies for the vehicles. We have a company donating trophies. 6 trophies, I believe. We'll have the City Manager's Award, Mayor's Award, Director's Award, Police Chief, Fire Chief, and Assistant City Manager's Award. With that being said, staff is requesting to increase the fees from $35 a vehicle to $45 a vehicle for early registration, and $40 a vehicle to $50 a vehicle after July 1st and after. The additional fees will generate $3,500 in revenue, and that'll offset additional costs that we incur during the event, to put on the event, actually.
Okay, are there any questions?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
No, did you have? I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The question I had, you said you scaled down in 2012 to $52,673 from what it was before, $90,000 or whatever. Did we cover the cost for that, or how much were we in terms of a delta or deficiency from covering that cost?
Our goal is to secure $50,000 in sponsors for this year. So hopefully we'll get 55, but our goal is 50 for now, and the 2,500, the 2,673 will be offset by savings that will incur in our general fund.
Okay. What was last year? That's this year, right?
That's this year, yes.
Okay. How did we do last year?
Last year, I believe, was around 46, 47,000.
That we collected and we offset?
I'm sorry, no. Last year, we collected 16,000.
16,000?
16,000 in revenue, yeah. There was 6,500 in sponsorship donations, plus everything together, I believe, was around 16,000, if I'm not mistaken. Car entry fees and corporate sponsorships.
Okay.
But this is the first year that we're securing sponsorships. We're aggressively looking for sponsors with the help of our city manager's office, community relations coordinator Dan Bell, and myself and Monique and other city staff. Were aggressively looking for sponsorships. This year, we did send out 200 packets. We have a DVD packet and so on. We've distributed to 200 businesses.
One of the
first of this year.
One of the things I'm trying to understand, I don't have a problem at all with the increase. I'm just trying to see how you came up with the increase, and is it enough? Is there, if you only raised how much last year, and you were so realistically, that's a significant difference in cost. So to increase it $10 or $5 is great, but should we be increasing it slightly a little bit more to offset it, or do you think that that's right where it should be at.
This is where it should be at. We did conduct a benchmark survey. $50 per vehicle was the highest entry fee that we noticed, which was City of Burbank. So we would be okay with $50.
So that's the maximum we should be looking at
Yes.
anyways?
Anyways, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It sounds to me like you have a lot more sponsors
Yeah.
now than you had at this time last year.
Yes.
That have already agreed to be sponsors and.
Yes, we mailed out our sponsorship packages on December 15th. Most of our sponsors replied after the holidays. We had a sponsorship deadline of March 30th, but we're still calling around our past sponsors and, like I mentioned earlier, aggressively looking for other sponsorship. We have a few departments that might sponsor. We're looking at Los Angeles Federal Credit Union, the AAA. I was on the phone with them this morning, so we're still aggressively looking. Our deadline for marketing and advertising purposes will be between May 15 and June 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like we're ahead from last year.
Yes.
At first, I was going to vote no, and but when you mentioned how much we've added, because last year was bare bones, although people did have a good time, but I like that we're going back to the trophies. I think that means a lot to the car owners, and I had a car there once myself, and it's, I'm local, but people spend a lot on gas to get here, and by the end of the night, your cars are all sticky-fingered. And
Yes. We've already had a...
So I want to make it nice for the people who make it a cruise night. So.
Yeah, we've already had a few people call us and asking when cruise night will be because they're planning their family vacation from, I believe it was Utah, around cruise night.
So, and thank you for the comparisons, and so I'm good with it. Yeah. Thanks for all your work.
Thank you. And like I mentioned earlier, I want to thank our donors, our sponsorships, Brand Boulevard of Cars, Glendale Police Officers Association, Jewel City Bowl, and of course Harley Davidson of Glendale for sponsoring. And if anyone is interested in sponsoring cruise night, they can call myself or Moni Carrera at 818-548-3813, or they can call the Parks office at 818-548-2000. We are looking for sponsorship opportunities at any of our events, and we're looking to for a fun event celebrating the 20th anniversary of Cruise Night and also celebrating the 50th anniversary of the song Wipeout. So we do have a national act. So we staff and the committee is very excited to be part of this event, to programming this event. So.
Sounds like a fun night.
Done a great job.
Okay, so we need a motion to adopt the resolution which increases the car registration fees.
I'll make that motion. It's a motion for resolution number 13-3, which is a resolution of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission of the City of Glendale, California, increasing the Glendale Cruise Night car registration fees as proposed by staff.
I'll second it.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Scarpetian is absent. Khan?
Yes.
Sharkey?
Yes.
President Patrick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And what is next?
Item 782, motion to note and file a report regarding the City Council's approval of a motion to dedicate an area within or adjacent to the Adult Recreation Center in Central Park for placement of sister city monuments and memorials.
President Patrick, members of the Commission, forgive my voice. I'm either going through puberty or losing it. I don't know which one. But in any case, I'll try to make through the report. This is a note and file, as Iris indicated. You may recall that back in 2011, the City Council discussed the naming and the programming of the Central Park. However, at that meeting, the Council did not make any decisions. One idea that came from that meeting was the idea about incorporating a sister city area within the Central Park complex. Since then, no action has been taken. However, very recently, we've had interest from the Korean sister cities about a monument named Korean Comfort Woman to be installed somewhere, donated and installed within the city. You may recall that we have 7 sister cities in 4 countries: Armenia, Mexico, Korea, and Japan. As a result of the interest from the Korean community, the City Council took action in, I believe, March 26th to officially provide directions to the city staff to look at designating a specific parcel within the Central Park for the use of the sister city monuments. With that direction, staff will be working together with community development and the city manager's office to finalize the design plans for the specific plot to be dedicated for the use by the sister cities. And the attached exhibit to your report demonstrates the potential location right adjacent to the trellis, which is the covered patio area, the lower covered patio area at the Adult Recreation Center. So the council has provided us direction. This is more of a information item to be presented to you. We anticipate that in the future, as the design plans get firmed up, we'll be back to you for a formal presentation of those design plans. We have Dan Bell, our Community Relations Coordinator, with us in case you have any other questions. Mr. Bell is our former liaison with the sister cities.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Are we the first city, or are there other cities in the country who have monuments or honored these women? Do we know? Are there a few, or? I think it's wonderful.
That I don't have an answer to.
Well,
but we'll see.
But somebody does.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hi, I'm Dan Bell. If I haven't met you, I've been here since January. I'm the new Community Relations Coordinator with the city, and I have taken over the Sister City program. This is actually Phyllis Kim with the organization that's bringing this forward, and I think she'll speak briefly on this, but I believe this would be the first Comfort Women monument in North America, if I'm correct.
There have been other types of monuments, more like a plaque on a piece of rock. That kind of monument have been built in 3 places in East Coast, and there's one down in Garden Grove. But what we are bringing in to city of Glendale is actually a monument in the form of statue showing a young girl sitting on a chair next to an empty chair to signify the former comfort women who have survived or who have passed away since about 60 or 70 years ago. So this is a replica of the original monument that is in Seoul. So Glendale will be the first city that would have that statue of the girl outside of Korea.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think, thank you, Phyllis. I think it's important to note that today we're bringing a note and file report for the actual designation of the land which the council wanted to move on. And at that point, I think park staff would come back with regulations on any and all monuments in the future and as part of a park master plan. But I'll leave that to Emil. But any other questions? I'll be here.
No.
That was the question I was going to ask. It was, I think it's a great idea. I really like it. And in terms of the review of what that monument would look like, does that go through council or us or the arts, or who would review that, or do we even know yet?
Commissioner Khan, we don't know yet. We're in the process of putting sort of not only the design plans together, but also the process of the review of these proposed monuments and the guidelines of providing direction to interested parties.
Okay.
There are several, if I may add, there are several other communities nearby that provide not necessarily sister city monuments, but potentially installation of monuments within public parks. And many of them have a variety of regulations and limitations, and we're trying to study them and make sure that we're up to par with what some of our neighboring cities are doing.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Then I need a motion to, let's see, we are to note and file the report that's in your packet.
Okay. I'll make the motion to.
Right.
And I'll second that.
Okay. So roll call, please.
Okay, Commissioners, Garpetian is absent. Khan,
Yes.
Sharkey,
I'm proud to say yes.
President Patrick.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much for being here and explaining some of that to us. All right, what is next, please?
Item 7B, reports for information only at 1 Spar Heights Community Center report.
Okay, let me see. I just got a note asking if we can move the park planning and development up to the first, so I'm sorry. Can we do park planning first, and then we'll come back and do you next?
Sure. So we would be going to item 7B to E, park
Yes.
planning and development.
Thank you for making that minor change on the agenda. At the interest of saving time and my other fellow co-workers' time, I'll skip our regular report. I'm excited to say that we're proceeding with a lot of fun and productive things. We've had our Catalina Verdugo bids come in. This time they're lower than we had anticipated. And very shortly we'll have our bids on the Maryland Park come back. We had a great deal of interest at our job walk. We have a mandatory job walk during our bidding process, and we had a great turnout from contractors. So we're hoping that this time around we'll have better numbers to proceed with construction. With that in mind, the City Council approved the proposed design for Maple Park a few weeks ago, and we're happy to present that presentation to you in person today. Thank you. If I could invite Audrina to briefly talk about the project and turn it over to Ms. Narduli.
Good afternoon, President Patrick and members of the Commission.
It's the one below it. Next to that.
If I can start the presentation with a little background on Maple Park. As you know, Maple Park is approximately 3.8 acres in size. The existing amenities include children's play structures, a tennis court, some walking paths, picnic areas, and a community building and on-site parking. In 2011, the city completed a $4.5 million renovation of the park, the building, and $3 million of the cost was funded by Prop 40 grant funds. Currently, we're working on the next phase, which is the site improvements. In May 2011, the City Council approved an appropriation of CDBG funds. And the following year, Narduli Studio was selected as the design consultant. We have conducted an extensive outreach with the community, and results of the feedback were fitness equipment that were selected and the location of those amenities and their adjacencies and addition of additional picnic areas. Those were most desired by the community. The cost of the project is approximately $1,127,000. And some of the project will be funded by CDBG funding, and the other portion will be with mitigation fee funds. With that, we have the architect here, Narduli Studio. Susan Narduli is here to present the project, and with that, I'm going to call her to describe the design.
Okay. Welcome.
Good afternoon, President Patrick and members of the Commission. We're delighted to be here today. I speak for myself, my firm, Narduli Studio, and our landscape architectural firm, KSA, Catherine Spitz and Associates. This first slide shows the site plan of the existing park. And what you have in the images surrounding it were the key goals when we started the project. So some of these came from the RFQ and some came from our initial discussions with community and staff. So I'm just going to go through them very quickly. Overall, we're improving the landscaping, and there's going to be a brand-new irrigation system. We're reinforcing the connection to the park from the street, from parking, and also the relationship of the park to the community building. When the renovation was done, there was no, it didn't extend to the exterior in the way that one might hope for such a public building. We're retaining the open space, the green fields for play. We're going to be updating the tennis court. We're adding some site furnishings and fitness equipment, expanding the children's play area, upgrading signage. We're doing an ADA upgrade to the exterior restrooms, which are adjacent to the children's play area, and overall upgrade of security with new lighting throughout the park, and a new police drive path, or extending the existing path, and also adding some security cameras. This is a legend, and I'm not going to go through it all now. It's really for your reference, but all of the dots that are on the map refer to the areas of improvement, and we can refer back to it if you have any questions. The first thing I'll talk about is identity and wayfinding. I had mentioned that in my introduction, that we felt it was very important that the entrances to the park from north and south and from parking were welcoming, and this meant a bit of a redesign. There's going to be new signage at both entrances. The north entrance from Maple is really pretty nice, but we're widening a little bit so that when you come in from Maple, you have a direct route to the building that's inviting. On the south side of the park along Raleigh, there is no direct entrance to the building, and the entrance from the parking area was never really developed in the way that it really needs to be to welcome people from parking. So we're creating, what you'll see here is, this is the north entry, and this is Maple. This is a brand new entry along the south from Raleigh, and here's parking. There's a new entry connection from parking up to this existing building. And this is just a rendering sketch of that the new entry from the south side at Raleigh with the new signage. One of the things that we were so excited about was this opportunity to bring in some of the boulders from the foothills and the adjacent mountains, and so we found out we could get them for free, which was even more exciting. So we're using them throughout the park, and one of the areas that we're using them is along the pathways, and we're creating a series of what we're calling markers, and there'll be you can see in this little rendering these areas of a colored band with a boulder adjacent to it that will give kind of a rhythm to the path. People use that path for jogging, and also a place to meet and a place to sit along that path. And one of the ideas we had was to engrave on each of these boulders within the stone a phrase in English, welcome, and then in the many languages of the people that have lived in Glendale and the surrounding areas. So we thought that would be fun for the community, and that we'd also leave some of the boulders unmarked for future people that would come to the area from other countries with other languages. We're adding fitness equipment to the park. As Audrey said, we did extensive outreach on this and looking for the types of equipment that can be used. We also wanted to recognize the different ages of the people that use the park and kind of expand that in a way where the teens would feel that maybe they had their own space there. So we have 2 zones for fitness equipment. This is the existing tennis area, and what you see along here is a fitness trail along the jogging path. And then to the west side of the community building, there's another area for fitness, and we're seeing this as develop more for the teens. And in fact, the teens asked for circular tables in one of our outreach meetings, so we've given them some new tables adjacent to that. And this is the fitness equipment that we've specified. We're not totally final with it yet, but this is the type of equipment that we're looking at. For the children's play area, this is the existing play structure that is here now, and this is the existing play area. What we've done is we've moved to the east, and this grassy area we've created as a toddler area, and we have mounds and boulders and sand, and something really fun for that younger demographic. This is a street, Raleigh, and we wanted to create some kind of a nice barrier for to separate the play area from the street, and also to provide a little more security for those kids. So we're calling this the snake hedge, and it winds around the south side of the children's play area. And here's a rendering of that new toddler area with the mounds. Some boulders in the toddler area. We've introduced, again, a little bit of engraving, something that I think that the little kids would find fun, little secret engravings of magic and adventure. This is the new furnishings that we're proposing. Right now there are existing concrete tables on rectangular pads, and we wanted to add something a little more fun and lively, so we're using round tables on circular concrete pads that are colored. And in the children's area, we have some curved benches and then these little circular, they can be used for seating, they can be used as little tables, and just fun. And you can see them here in the children's play area, these curved furnishings. In the restrooms are in need of a renovation, so we're going to make them ADA accessible and brighten them up a bit. And landscape, one of the things I know that the city is very interested in, and certainly our landscape architect is as well, is sustainability. And they've provided a beautiful plant palette that sculpts the space and also is very sustainable. And here is another legend that specifically calls out the plant materials they're using in the areas. One of the things that we've done with the landscape is there is some existing landscape to the east side of the community building, and we've extended it north and south to create more of a sense of entry. And we've also added some landscape adjacent to the parking to create more of a screen from the residences across the street. This talks about the enhanced security throughout the site. The existing police drive path extends about this far. We've made a link, and this is what the police have asked for, so they can enter from either direction and go all the way through the site. So they can enter at Maple or at Raleigh. The other thing that you'll see in this diagram, these little yellow dots, this is our new LED lighting. It's a beautiful system of motion activated. It's got 2 different degrees of brightness, and it's really much more energy efficient than what's there now. And then the security camera locations, we're working with the police department and locating them. So in closing, I just want to say that overall our vision is, one, to create a very welcoming environment for the park, to bring some new amenities to it, and to make this park sustainable and accessible for the broadest range of people. And I welcome your comments and questions.
Could you go back to the slide right before this? You see on the parking area, it says potential parking.
I'm sorry, 1 second here.
That's okay. Right
Yes.
next to existing parking. So are we proposing to introduce new parking in this area, or what is that for?
Should I answer this, or Emil, or do you want to go for it?
Susan, if I may. President Patrick, members of the Commission, that is, as part of our study of the park, we sort of did a master plan looking at all the potential improvements. One of the improvements given our friends over at Community Services is the fact that our community center, or the gymnasium upstairs, has a great deal of demand for use, which has also a parking need. So one of the ideas was, as we were shifting some of the picnic areas around to more suitable locations and exercise equipments, we thought of that area as potentially a suitable buffer between our residential buildings and the park. At this point, we don't have funding for the for the parking expansion. However, we propose that when we go back to the City Council for approval to proceed to bidding, at that point we will ask again to see if it's a priority item. This component would have to be funded through our development impact fee funds. We don't have any other resources. So at that point, the City Council would have to prioritize some of the other potential projects that are on the table to be using those available funds.
Yeah, I know we're always trying to balance between having as much green space versus parking.
Right.
How much parking would we potentially be adding there?
If I recall correctly, we would be adding 11 spaces. Nine spaces, one of which is a handicap, and 4 of them would be tandem. So in reality, we would have 12 parking spaces and 1 handicap space, but the 8 of them would be tandem spaces.
Thank you. And I had one more question. You mentioned that we're now coming in off of Maple, creating more of a passageway, or I'm guessing it's more of a pedestrian access way, not for vehicles.
I'm sorry, are you talking about this diagram?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the police drive path, and they wanted to be able, right now they can't drive through the site, which is really a problem for them. So what we've done is this is existing now from Raleigh, and so they can go in either direction, but they now we've made a link, basically, between the concrete path that was here and the concrete path that was here. And so we've added a section right here, so now that they can drive through.
So that would only be for the police to drive
no.
through?
And this is, I believe, typical in most parks. They drive on the pedestrian pathways when the park, at night, when the park's not being used.
So I guess my question would be, it wouldn't be for the general public to use for cars, it's only for...
Oh, no, yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Any questions?
No, I love your ideas, especially the rocks. We have lots of rocks.
Yeah.
And you're
excited to get
welcoming,
some.
and kids love rocks, and it's but the whole plan is wonderful. You've paid attention to detail, so very nice.
It looks quite lovely, and I think it will be just fit into the community down there, and I agree, the rocks are fabulous. So, very great.
Thank you.
Looks wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and explaining it to us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So now we will go back to our Heights Community Center report.
Yes, that's item 7B1.
Maggie.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, President Patrick, Commissioners, and staff. I'm Maggie Kavarian, Community Services Supervisor for Spar Heights Community Center. Today I'm going to be presenting the Spar Heights Community Center annual report for fiscal year 2011-2012. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and get started with our senior fitness class held in our garden room 3 days a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which offers weight training and low-impact exercises geared for older adults. Tai Chi is a favorite among SPAR participants, also held on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:30 in the morning. Tai Chi teaches balance and relaxation techniques through this ancient form of exercise. This year we have introduced specialty fitness on Fridays at 10:30, exclusive to adults with developmental disabilities. This class encourages participants to get into shape by learning the fundamentals of basic exercise routines, and caregivers are welcome to work alongside participants. We're really excited about this particular program that we started this year. And of course, our senior nutrition program. Mondays through Fridays, Spar Heights offers seniors 60 years and older a hot lunch for $2.50 suggested donation, and the program serves between 30 to 60 seniors each day. So this slide shows the Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's events that are examples of lunchtime celebrations. Here we have our Mardi Gras event that we had, very, very popular at SPAR. This year we collaborated with the Glendale Public Library, and the children attending the library programs created Valentine's Day cards for seniors at SPAR. All the cards were placed on the dining tables before lunch. We can't tell you enough how special this gesture was for our seniors. Spring is definitely in the air. St. Patrick's Day, Easter, and Mother's Day lunch are enjoyable and fond celebrations that seniors participated in. Every Tuesday, SPAR hosts the Senior Chat Group, in which current events, issues relevant to senior populations are discussed. Another drop-in activity, Sitting and Knitting, is held on Tuesdays, 12:30 to 1:30, where our crafty participants knit, crochet, and share their skills with other like-minded folks. All are welcome to join. Bingo. Bingo is held every Wednesday from 12:30 to 2 o'clock, and we have over 40 seniors participate each week in bingo. A favorite among seniors, our wood carving group meets every Thursday, 8:30 to 10 a.m., and each participant works on their own projects and contributes their expertise to their fellow wood carvers. Another Glendale Public Library and Parks collaboration we have is our SPAR Book Club that we started last year. This group meets the last Thursday of every month from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock to discuss the book of the month and pick up the following month's selection. This has evolved into a highly enjoyable class, and the current book of this month is Honeymoon with My Brother. Mondays and Wednesdays is our Bridge Players group that meets. This is an intermediate to advanced level group, and bridge is held from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We have 8 players a day. Backgammon is another drop-in favorite among our SPAR participants, as well as billiards, which offers 2 billiards tables for patrons to enjoy. We have over 10 participants a day dropping in for pool time. Glendale Community College classes are held at SPAR Heights in the fall and spring seasons. SPAR hosts the following classes: watercolor, memoirs and me, quilting, and ancient civilization. Spartacular day camps held in spring for 1 week, winter for 2 weeks, and in the summer for 9 weeks are in sync with the Glendale Unified School District calendar and offer families a wonderful opportunity for their children to participate in fun, arts, crafts, games in a safe and secure setting. Our camps are held from 12 to 6 daily. Our summer camp makes the dog days of summer a lot cooler with water activities, visits from Glendale Fire Department and Police Department. A service we are excited to talk about today is our complimentary pickup from Fremont Elementary School, which is next door to SPAR. Our recreation leaders pick up summer school students and bring them to our day camp at noon. This has helped many families alleviate the stress of scheduled pickups and drop-offs in the past. Each week is a theme to go with our lesson plans. Fiesta Week, Sports Week, and Summer Olympics are just a few examples of our themes. SPAR is home to lifelong learning classes held each season. Karate is a neighborhood favorite with up to 20 students signing up for classes every Monday during the 10-week session. Another lifelong learning class that has shown much interest is Zumba Belly Dance. Held on Tuesday evenings, participants dance and exercise their way to good health. SPAR hosts many presentations geared toward our seniors during the day and our community in the evenings. Wise and Healthy Aging, Humana, Glendale Police Department Neighborhood Watch Meetings, AARP tax preparation services are only a few of the many presentations that have been held in our Verdugo room. SPAR has hosted Glendale Water and Power community meetings, Public Works community meetings, the candidate forum this past March, as well as being the City of Glendale election polling place for the neighborhood. Community involvement. Last year, our seniors came to the rescue and helped with Glendale Cruise Night. Over 400 goodie bags were prepped and bagged for the Cruise Night participants by our seniors who finished the job in 2 hours. And when our building is not being used for our drop-in programs, nutrition program, and classes, we offer our garden room, Verdugo room, and patios for rentals. Rentals have been very successful for private parties and events in the evenings and on weekends. We offer many setups and audiovisual equipment to make an event a memorable one. This concludes the SPAR Heights annual report. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to answer.
Wow, there's a lot going on up there.
A lot going on.
Any questions?
No, it's a great job. I've been up there and eaten up there. It's a wonderful place. Yeah, lots going
I
on.
can't believe you find the time to do all those activities. There's so much going on up there.
Well, we have a lot of help.
Yeah,
It sounds fabulous. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I made the noise about the goodie bags because we've done that, and that's really hard work.
They clearly work faster
I
than we
just
did,
went,
huh? Thank you very much. Okay, what is next?
Item 7B2, monthly activity reports at A, workforce development.
Okay.
Thanks, Iris. Good afternoon, President Patrick and Commissioners. The first item I wanted to talk about is the strategic plan that the Workforce Development Department has to develop every 5 years for the Governor's Office to talk about what some of the big initiatives that we'll be examining and dealing with in the next 5 years. The two areas we're really focused on, number one is we're anticipating some explosive growth in the healthcare industry over the next 5 years, and that's because of the implementation of the Federal Affordable Care Act. I believe it's 1.7 million insured patients are anticipated in LA County, and we're projecting internally about 100,000 new patients in the Glendale, Burbank, La Cañada area. And so to deal with that increase in patient volume, we're anticipating quite a bit of hiring in future years in the healthcare field in the Glendale, Burbank area. We're also focused on the local entertainment industry. There's been a real transition of the industry in recent years. A lot of the work or the development of entertainment content has switched over to people accessing that content from mobile devices. So things like iPads and smartphones are being utilized to access that content, and a lot of jobs are being created around that. And so we're looking at trying to train and employ people into those positions. Most of those right now are occurring on the west side of the city, and we're hoping to grab a share of that and hopefully improve our economy at the same time. Also, the other thing I wanted to talk about is a new grant that doesn't appear on your report, but we've recently teamed with the Glendale YWCA, Glendale College, and the Glendale Professional Development Center to go after a veterans employment grant. And this would be focused on female veterans. Unfortunately, female veterans, I think they comprise about 11.6% of the soldiers that were involved in the Iraq and Afghanistan operations, but they've been kind of the forgotten heroes in this whole situation. A lot of them don't access assistance for services to help them reintegrate back into their communities, and they have a lot more issues to deal with than their male counterparts, such as sexual harassment and other issues that they experienced in the military. So we're going to try to target about 50 female veterans that we can assist with their employment needs. They had identified in surveys that have occurred that that's their biggest need for assistance is in employment, and also it's the area where they know the least about how to access different types of resources and services. So we're going to be submitting that grant application in a couple weeks, and hopefully by mid-year we'll hear some good news that we have that and can service this community. And that concludes my report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay. Questions?
No, I don't. Rodney?
I hope you get that grant. It sounds very needed.
I hope so. Yeah, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. What is next?
Item 7B2B, Park Services.
Thank you, Iris. Good afternoon, President Patrick, members of the Commission. This is the report for Park Service for the month of March. We had completed 119 work orders in March, of which 81 work orders were completed by gardeners, 7 for pesticide application, and 31 work orders for irrigation repairs. Some of the irrigation work are still conducted by gardeners, yet we still separate them out to be able to distinguish how much workload we have in irrigation. And you may see that number increase in the coming months. As we turn water back on in spring and summer months, we do get a lot of sprinkler breaks, line breaks, and we've had some significant irrigation work already that we're struggling with. Yet staff in the field are getting to all of them. We are back with some of our presentations. New York Park, there was that area up in the northern part of the park that pinpoints, highlighted in red here. It's a little bit of kind of an open space, somewhat similar area that it doesn't get a lot of the public use. Some of that was due to the overgrowing vegetation and the ivy that was kind of taken over in the area. What staff did this last month is they went in there and cleared it all out. Now you can actually have people get up there and freely picnic. It pretty much opened the area, and I know I don't have a lot of pictures because when I asked staff, they said the one thing in their mind is to get the work done and not take pictures, and I think we're trying to change that mindset a little bit to show the public what they do. But the area is very cleared very nicely of all the shrub, and it is more inviting now in the area as well for people to relax and picnic. Deukmejian Park, last month we highlighted for you that we are doing a major job over there. This is the area right outside of the pump house, which is adjacent or near the entrance to the old Ranger House Station. We've had irrigation and water issues at Deukmejian since we opened. Some of it has to do with the pump we had in place. We've had it serviced a number of times, but the way it was designed, we've had irrigation sprinklers pop all the time because you cannot control the pressure. It required a number of different pumps to manage it. So we've gone in there and we've made minor corrections, and this last one we're hoping will be the last we have to do. As you noticed, it was a big job, and we had a number of staff working to dig it out. It was a large area to dig out. One thing to note right over here, if you see the bottom right-hand corner of your picture, that is what we call the backflow device. And most of you are familiar with it. That is what controls the access of the water one direction, and you don't want it to backwash back into the main. You're going to notice by the end of this presentation that was one of the items that we had to relocate to make it more consistent, more sustainable when it comes to the irrigation work. As such, staff had to dig through the concrete and get down about, as you notice, maybe 3.5, 4 feet down below to identify the existing piping. We had a number of pipes in the area. This is just past the main pump. So ultimately, the goal was to put change the lines, move the direction the lines were going to go, move the backflow so that the main pump will feed through one-directional channels through the backflow device and onto the sprinklers. We also had to install some flow valves in there to control the pressure so that it doesn't backwash back into the mix, and that the pressure controls will be able to manage. This is where the staff was backfilling with the dirt and compacting the areas. And ultimately, you see now in the top corner over there, the new backflow device has been installed. And again, poured some concrete to hold the device in place and poured concrete for the rest of the area. You notice from the top to bottom, the backflow has been moved. And we're hoping that this will take care of the pressure problems that we've held at the site, and we will maintain control of our irrigation. And that would be it. Now, in the Glendale Heritage Garden, Commissioner Sharkey, you had highlighted, yes, a couple of items. Staff had been aware of it, and we did create the work orders and got right on it. The tall grass were addressed, and they were all brought down to more manageable sizes and conditions, as well as the rosemary. Now, this area looks bare because a big dead shrub was removed, but the rosemary was also trimmed down to more manageable ideal sizes for the area. This would be, I forget off of which side of the street, the south side of Cedar House. For Maple Park, just an idea to show folks what it takes to actually plant a tree. This is more of a step-by-step visual effects. So the staff have to dig about the same size as the container that the tree comes in terms of the depth. But width, you want to go about 1.5 size to give the tree roots room to grow. And after they put the tree into the hole, remove the side of the baskets, Make sure it is level. Key for viewers is to make sure that the crown of the tree, at the very bottom where the roots and the trunk start, that has to be level, flat level, maybe just an inch or so above grade. If you plant it below grade, you're going to end up killing the tree in the long term. Proper planting is to be at level or maybe an inch above grade over there. And after done, use the same existing soil you pulled out of the hole to fill it back in, create a little berm, and water it. Initially, you want to water as frequently as possible until the first 4 to 5 years the tree will grow into its natural habitat, and then you won't require as much watering. And Montrose Park, Commissioner Khan, you had highlighted the question, you asked the question about the barbecue, the coal containers. This is the aerial of Montrose Community Park, and this is the area just, I guess it would be south. It is elevated. It's kind of hard to picture elevation being south, but it is an elevated area just south of the play area, play equipment that is used for picnicking. It is open space. We have a number of picnic tables and benches, as well as what you see right there in black is a coal container. This is what we use in the park for folks to recycle, their used coals, the hot coals. But we only have one. So what we consider is, after talking to a lot of folks, a number of options would be at hand. What we decided would be best is we add additional cans in other locations. Another one in the upper elevation where that one was located, which is closest to the open space adjacent to that area. We also want to highlight one. This is southern part, just past the picnic area, the playground. We want to install one in this area as well. And at the same time, this is adjacent to the driveway to the parking lot. You notice there are two picnic tables, two sets of picnic tables, one far right and then the other one in front of the picture. We figured it might be ideal for us to try one here as well. We'll be placing the order later this week, and the installation will be conducted as soon as they arrive. We figured this would be another shot at, let's give it a try, let's add some more coal containers to see if this will do the job, and if not, we'll come back with some additional options as to what else to consider. And that would conclude the presentation.
I did have a question on the last one. And first of all, I appreciate you giving us the input and then adding new containers. Are the majority of the barbecues up on that south side area that you were talking about, or are they scattered throughout? I don't remember.
They are scattered, Commissioner Khan, they're scattered. As you note in this picture at the driveway, it's difficult to see, but there is a barbecue right over there that is city provided barbecue. Now, people do have the ability to bring their own barbecue grills. So those are the ones that we're mostly concerned with, because the city grills, you can use it for the coal, and if you let the coal stay in, perfectly fine. Staff will get it cleaned out on Monday. They'll remove the coal, not the coal, whatever's left over. The ashes. Thank you, One. I have a gas grill. What do I know? But staff will remove the ashes. So when we have it, it's ideal. It's the ones that people bring their own barbecues is of more concern. Because when they bring their barbecues, they're not going to take them back home with them filled. They're going to dump the barbecue somewhere. What we have, based on staff comments, is see the containers inside. Our issue continues to be that those containers do wear fast when you put a lot of alcohol. Although they're metal, they do wear. So we're going to be analyzing that as well. Told staff, let's see how long the new one lasts and see what the replacement costs are. If it's minimal in a year, it may be worth continually replacing the can to avoid any potential fire hazards in the area. If it doesn't work, we'll come back to you with additional options as to what we think may be ideal for the site.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I also have a question about the coal containers. Do you have those at Verdugo Park also?
I believe so, we do.
Okay,
and we'll look into it. As a matter of fact, since we're on that same subject, anywhere we have large picnic areas, we'll look at installing more of these coal ash containers, and if need be, increase in some areas to help alleviate some of the problems in other parks.
Okay. Yeah, I was walking through Verdugo Park, and there was this little stack of coals right by that road that goes through the center of it. And that's the first time I'd seen it, but it brought to mind.
It brought to your attention more so. We've seen it a lot, as a matter of fact, but since the subject is fresh in your mind, you were able to notice it more so. And yes, I could believe that. But yeah, we'll definitely look into all other areas and see. These are reasonably priced. Now, they have others that you use for campgrounds are very expensive, and they're made of concrete, very difficult to move and store. So those are probably not ideal for our operation. That's why with these costs being reasonable, it's worth giving it a try.
Okay. Yes.
I did happen to drive by Heritage, and it looks wonderful. So
Thank
I was
you.
pleasantly surprised.
Credit goes to staff, of course. I don't do the dirty work.
It looks good.
Yeah, but yes, thank you for pointing that out to us. And yeah, staff got on it and took care of the problem.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. And what is next?
Next, we have item 7B2C, Recreation and Community Services.
Okay, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. President Patrick, members of the commission, in your packets you'll find the Recreation and Community Services monthly activity report. During the month of March, we had 12 events at the Civic Auditorium, 2 being non-revenue. Total revenue that was brought in was $19,378. We had a few city-sponsored events, one being the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. Civic Auditorium was also held for an Arbor Day rain site, just in case it rained on Arbor Day. Civic Auditorium would have been used. And also the Cesar Chavez commemoration event at Pacific Community Center that was held March 30th at Pacific. That was a very well-attended event, over 500-600 participants, so it was really fun. And we had one delivery for the food truck event that was held at City Hall March 26th, I believe. Customer Service and Community Centers permit report, we had a total of 226 revenue reports and 94 non-revenue reports. And total revenue that came in for the month of March was $44,926. President Patrick, last meeting you had asked a report on the Brand Studios relocation to Chevy Chase Library. So I'd like to invite Monique Herrera, the Community Services Supervisor overseeing the citywide contract classes, and she was the one that oversaw the move from Brand to Chevy Chase and is working closely with Library Department with the Chevy Chase Library staff.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, President Patrick, Commission members, and fellow department staff. I would first like to say that the library staff, predominantly Tiffany Barrios and Carolyn Fleming, have been so accommodating to our department. They not only prepped the site before we moved in by relocating some of their stuff that they were no longer using, but Tiffany checks in with me regularly to find out every session if I need anything. We have had a few little issues with my instructors putting stuff where they're not supposed to, and she's been so kind, and we've worked out everything. And I really want to make it clear that they've been very, very helpful, and I couldn't have done it without either one of them. I did a statistical report, and while our classes were at Brand Studios for the calendar year of 2011, we had a total of 889 students. For the calendar year of 2012, while the classes moved to Chevy Chase Library, most of the classes, we only had 745 students. We had a decrease annually of 144 enrollments, which is approximately 40 students per session. We run our program by session. 3 of our classes completely canceled. The teachers refused to drive to the location because they live close to Brand. And when I say close to Brand, I mean literally across the street, around the corner, and they would just walk to the park. At the end of every session, my staff pass out evaluations, and we constantly get a lot of comments about how beautiful the library is, how it is. It's very quiet. When our classes are there, the library obviously isn't in session. They love the scenery. When you go out into the back, I set up a patio. I tried to make the library as nice as it was at Brand. I literally brought our plants that we had because our students loved the plants. We unpotted the plants. We planted them in at the library. I brought our picnic table. We put it in the back. So they love the scenery. In between their classes, they can go out there and they see the whole canyon. So they do like that. However, the comment that I get the most is that it's dark because it's not made for painting. Brand Studios has floor-to-ceiling windows all the way around, so it lets in a lot of natural light, so the students prefer that for the art classes. Now, we do have ballet and gymnastics classes at the library, which seem to be very successful because the parents will have one student in the class while the younger siblings get to play with all the library books and the toys. And Tiffany has allowed us to do that, and it's great. We just make sure we put them away. Another issue is that a lot of our students came from the Brand Studios area, the 91201 zip code, and they don't like the drive. I have a lot of older students who don't like the windy drive up in the rain. So when it's raining, they just don't come to class. And then they want a refund for the day that they didn't come. Another main issue is at Brand Studios, we had an entire wall of lockers. So students that had one or more classes could have a locker. And they didn't have to bring in all of their art supplies. And they have carts, they have easels, they had a lot of things that they could leave at Brand. We have tried to give them as much space as possible without encroaching on the library staff side. What we also do is my staff greet them in the parking lot and help carry their stuff in. We're trying to be, because it's a little bit of a slope, so we're trying to be as accommodating as possible. The instructors liked Brand because we had an entire cage area where they could leave all of their supplies, clay, paint, easels, anything that they would need for a class. Gymnastics could leave bars. Ballet could leave bars. Gymnastics class could leave mats. So those have been the issues. Tiffany recently, a few weeks ago, had emailed me and asked me what our plans were once Brand is, the renovation is complete. All of my art classes for sure will be going back to Brand so they can make use of the parking, the natural light. I'm sorry, one thing I forgot also, a complaint was the parking. For the elderly students, there are 2 lots there, but it's kind of down past a house. There's one little parking lot, there's not that many spaces, then there's a house, and then there's another parking lot, and it's just too far for them. That's what they say. Again, we have tried to carry their stuff in for them, but I'm sorry, I didn't want to leave that out. When the center's open, we'll move all of our art classes back to the library, back to Brand Studios, and Tiffany would like for me to continue offering children's classes because I've been working with the Glen Oaks Homeowners Association. They have specific classes that they want, and they've been okay. They've been pretty successful, so we're going to continue to offer those. I know that Tiffany has said that circulation has increased about 20% since we've been there because we also check out books now. Even when the library is not open, if somebody happens to stray walk in when we have a class, we don't make them leave. We just check out a book for them. So I know she likes that. So we're looking forward to building up even more classes once Brand is done. The renovation is done. That's pretty much it from my report, unless you had any questions.
Okay. It sounds, you say nothing that doesn't, nothing surprises me about what you're saying. There are some inherent difficulties about Chevy Chase, but it's nice to hear that it worked out so well as a temporary solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were very lucky. We couldn't have had a better solution.
Yeah, I was up there not too long ago, and the dance floor is all spread out, and it's very beautiful up there. So it would be a great place to exercise or do dance or anything like that. So I'm glad it worked out.
You've gone above and beyond, too.
Oh, thank you
in
so
helping,
much.
Helping with people taking
Thank you
things.
so much.
And hopefully with the move, we can go ahead and still continue to have the children classes like Monique had mentioned, and try to, research some different programming so we can continue to have programming up there too for the Canyon residents.
It's a good partnership at the child level, I think.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for bringing that to us.
Okay, any questions on the recreation report? No?
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Mhm.
All right, and next.
Next, we have item 7B2D, Human Services.
Good afternoon, President Patrick and members of the Commission. My name is Manuel Valenzuela. I'm CDBG staff. We just wanted to highlight that April is a very important month in our nation's history. April 2013 marks the 45th anniversary of the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, and more specifically the Fair Housing Act, which basically prohibited discrimination concerning the sale, rental, and financing of housing based on race, color, religion, and national origin. And it was later expanded to include sex, disability, as well as family status. And in light of this anniversary, The department, in conjunction with the Housing Rights Center, is hosting a fair housing workshop, and I want to give you the date and the time. It's on Monday, April 22nd, from 5:30 to 7:30, and it's at Pacific Park Community Center, which is located at 501 South Pacific Avenue. While it is intended for tenants, by all means, we encourage anyone and everyone to attend to get questions answered in regards to rent and security deposits and whatnot. And we do want to mention that that partner, the Housing Rights Center, served 650 Glendale residents last year with their fair housing and tenant landlord issues. So we look forward to a great event this April 22nd.
Okay. Thank you. Were there any questions?
Sorry you had to wait so long for that.
Good afternoon, President Patrick, members of the Commission, Yvette Samvalian. Today I will give you a brief information on the 2013 annual homeless count and the needs assessment. As you know, the homeless count is conducted on an annual basis for the City of Glendale as part of the Glendale Continuum of Care process. Typically, the count is to identify a number of homeless persons in the City of Glendale that are accessing services on that one particular day. City of Glendale and the Homeless Coalition selected January 30th as our point-in-time count, and we enumerated 320 unduplicated homeless persons this year compared to 293. The small difference in terms of this year and last year was due to the operation of the Regional Winter Shelter Program in the City of Glendale that operated through Essentia. That program served about 80 unduplicated persons this year versus the Homeless Solutions Program, which was the pilot program we administered last year that served 50 unduplicated persons. So that's the small variance. Participating agencies with the homeless count is Essentia, Catholic Charities, Glendale Adventist Medical Center, Glendale Memorial Hospital, Salvation Army, Door of Hope, YWCA, Social Security Administration, Didi Hirsch, our Mental Health Services, Community Services and Parks Department, Glendale Library, Glendale Police Department, the Community Policing Unit to support with the evening outreach for safety of the staff and the volunteers, including Glendale Fire Department, who was critical this year, which was one of the newest requirements to include the fire department and the fire paramedics who were taking the homeless participants to hospitals. So the fire department was able to contact staff, and staff was able to meet the hospital with the client to be able to conduct a survey to identify their specific needs and work with the hospital to discharge the client to homeless programming rather than the streets. In terms of some population characteristics, of the 320, we identified 182 individuals and 116 persons in families. It's in terms of the comparison between 2012 and 2013, it's pretty consistent. The one change that we did see, which was our percent of homeless seniors this year, we saw a reduction of 40% compared to our 2012. The reason behind this is that the Glendale Homeless Programming identified the seniors by working through with the Adult Recreation Center and all the other homeless senior programming to prioritize the housing programs for our seniors that are currently homeless. Further statistics, one of the requirements HUD requires us to is identify people that are considered chronically homeless, and there's a specific definition. And HUD defines the definition of person being chronically homeless as someone who's an adult or an adult member in a family who has been homeless for more than a year or at least 4 episodes with their homelessness and has a special disability or special need. And of our adults, we identified 34% of our homeless adults that are chronically homeless, and 4 people were in persons in families. HUD is prioritizing funding for chronically homeless individuals. These are typically the clients who are a little bit more service resistant, sometimes utilizing the community centers or services. They are aware of some of the programming, however, don't technically qualify for due to perhaps substance abuse or unaddressed mental illness, so on and so forth. In terms of those that were chronically homeless, 43 of those individuals are were sheltered, so are currently sheltered, and 46 of them were unsheltered. The 46 individuals, what the Continuum of Care program is now going to do is work with the 8 individuals on the streets, providing the services to them, work with them to get them their basic IDs, for example, or have them go to the Department of Public Social Services to get their general relief or Social Security benefits in order for them to secure housing. And Ascensia's community outreach program, they has the outreach case managers, and they will be working intensively with the street population to get them into housing and connected to resources. In terms of other specific details, I'm not going to go over all of the characteristics, but the few things I did want to mention is that there is a significant increase in our chronic homeless individuals with substance abuse. These are the 49 folks that are on the streets and continue to use substance or are drinking or using other substances. And so that's one of the biggest gaps in the city of Glendale with our continuum of care. The coalition will meet together to discuss what are some of the opportunities to develop programs and to continue to refer our clients to either an inpatient or outpatient programs and or work with the hospitals to be able to address the needs of our population who are chronically using some type of a substance. In terms of a veterans population, again, the federal government has a federal strategic plan to end veteran homelessness in 2015 by 2015. Since 2012, our number of veterans increased slightly by 4%. The biggest difference was our clients at the winter shelter program, which was a regional winter shelter program that we had administered this year. So some of the shelter actually served 8 veterans who, they weren't from the city of Glendale, but were accessing the winter shelter. Regardless of their stay, Ascensia, who has a veterans grant, and the city of Glendale, who has veterans permanent housing program, will be working together to be able to place the veterans into housing. And to be able to comply with the federal's strategic plan to end the veteran population by 2015. This is just a slide regarding the substance abuse, and you can tell how the biggest difference is. In 2012, there was 72 individuals versus 33. So the results of the homeless count is usually used in order for us, the coalition, to determine and understand the nature of homelessness, to determine programs that's a gap in our community. And the information is used to submit a funding application to the federal government to continue to fund the existing homeless programming and or develop new program. The funding application for our last year was submitted. We were successful to receive all of our renewals in terms of our funding application last year. In a couple of months, they'll issue the new funding application for 2014-15 fiscal year. We're about a year ahead. This would be the time where the coalition will meet closely to discuss specific gaps and continue to apply for funding to develop for the needs of our community. This concludes my presentation. If there's any questions about the homeless count, I can go ahead and answer. The full report will be available after today's presentation, and we'll place it on the park's website.
Okay. Yes.
So it seemed like that some of the population characteristics, one of the main changes was the substance abuse, that you guys were not, you didn't think it would be increasing to that level. And was there other items, or was that the main item that came about that was different than what you guys expected?
Commissioner Khan, President Patrick, the substance abuse was one of the significant increases in terms of this year. Mental health also is the second factor of our chronic homeless population. Typically, while they're on the streets longer, year after year, they begin to use more substances and their mental health condition becomes a little bit more severe. While outreach staff and different program staff continue to work and provide services to the clients on the street, our current programming does not accept clients into our shelters because we serve families and kids. And so those folks that do, for example, have positive on their drug test results or substance abuse results are referred outside to a different programming. So we recognize that as one of our gaps in our community. While we need to continue to have the systems we have, the funding strategy and the planning for the homeless continuum of program is moving towards rapid rehousing and housing first for the chronic homeless individuals who we anticipate having these issues. And so they are targeting the funding for those to work with the clients, place them into housing, then work with all the nonprofit agencies, whether it's the mental health, whether it's the substance abuse counselors or general housing counselors or employment counselors, come into the unit with the client and work with them, rather than trying to prepare the client to be sober and clean and go through the systems of the care, which is what we currently have been doing the last couple of years.
So the big spike from one year to the next, what would you guys speculate that was from?
It's the use of our winter shelter program. The winter shelter program is the regional program that's administered through the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. And most of our clients, about 30% are from City of Glendale, 70% are from elsewhere. About 60% of the winter shelter program are clients from the Skid Row area. And so the expectation of our population during the winter shelter season is that we expect to see increased number of chronic homeless individuals with mental illness or substance abuse, because the winter shelter is just a drop-in hypothermia, low barrier program. This is the only opportunity for them to get out of the cold weather and access services. And while the agency case managers continue to work with the clients to refer them to other programs that's available in the community.
Thank you.
So kind of conversely, in 2012, when we did a smaller winter shelter, that's the reason the number dropped so low that year.
Correct. The Homeless Solutions Program only served 50 persons, which also include families, versus 80 to 90 unduplicated persons through the winter shelter program operated by Ascensia.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, a lot of work putting that report together.
Thank you for your
so
time.
much. Okay. Anything else? Then I guess our meeting is adjourned.